Well, we've finally reached the end of our ESS course. This is topic 8.4, Human Systems and Resource Use. We started off this topic by talking about human population and how to model and analyze demographics. Then we started talking in the middle of the unit about how we use resources and how we dispose of resources in order to attain sustainability. And now we're going to put the two of them together. How do we go ahead and maintain sustainability of resources as our population is changing? Unfortunately, as population increases, living conditions can sometimes get worse, sometimes better if you're in an MEDC, but our use and sustainability of resources gets more difficult as there are more people and more demand. So let's go ahead and talk about where things are heading, what the final picture is for human population, which we would call our carrying capacity. It's a definition you should probably know. Carrying capacity means the maximum number of species sustainable by an area and its resources. Typically, we can do these for figuring out deer populations or the population of wolves in a national park and so forth. But it's a lot more difficult when you're talking about humans because we have a much greater control over our environment and the resources that we use. We can substitute resources, unlike animals. We can go ahead and import resources, which is a big problem right now with carbon footprint. Our resource use can change. We have technology that makes things more efficient. And so it's difficult to figure out exactly what the maximum number of humans can be or can be sustained by our planet. We can go ahead and also limit the use of our resources, ecocentric solutions such as conservation. And we can go ahead and expand the pool of our resources, technocentric solutions, by more efficient food production. That in particular is a real factor that's changed our carrying capacity. It used to be in the United States that, I'm just going to guess, probably 50% of the population was involved in production of food. I think today it's something on the order of 1, maybe 2% at most of the population. And the reason is we've increased our technology of food production. We can produce so much more food today than we ever could before using a very, very small percentage of our population. And so we may have thought years ago, based on our food production systems, that we couldn't really generate enough food to support a large population, but now we can. And it's becoming greater and greater. And that has really changed what we consider to be our carrying capacity. So let's look long ago. In 1798, we had the very famous economist Thomas Malthus, who wrote that the human population will be greater than the power of the earth to sustain it. In other words, he was the guy who really figured out those population curves, exponential and then leveling off. And when they level off, he would say, well, something's limiting, and we have problems, famines, disease, and so forth. This idea was taken up in 1976 by the very famous environmentalist Paul Ehrlich, who warned that our carrying capacity really couldn't be above 6 billion people, that at that point we'd have real problems, famines, disease, and so forth. Well, he was wrong. The population of the Earth today is about 8 billion people. Projection is 10.4 billion people. I've heard about 11 billion also. And that could be our carrying capacity. And that carrying capacity, I believe, was going to occur, if you look at population curves, somewhere at the end of the century, in the year 2100. Now, another way of looking at carrying capacity is ecological footprint. We've talked about this before. Another definition you should probably know. This is the area of land and water needed to support a human population at any given standard. So in 2012, for example, it was calculated that the average use of our entire population was 1.5 Earths. 1.5 Earths. In other words, we're using 50% more than we really should. Or another way of putting it is that it would take 18 months for us to regenerate the resources that we use in 12 months. That's not a good long-term picture, right? Now, MEDCs obviously have a higher ecological footprint than LEDCs. What country do you think is the highest? Who's the lowest? So most of you would probably guess, oh, it's probably an MEDC like the United States that has the highest, and some country which has the lowest. You're probably looking at, I don't know, Somalia or some third world country in Africa. Let's take a look at what the actual answer is here. So surprisingly, it's a small country. It's Qatar, which is way over, where's Qatar? Way over here on the side of Saudi Arabia. It's a very, very small country, but it is a terribly oil-rich country, which has then artificially expanded what their ecological footprint could be. So they can do things in Qatar, which they really shouldn't be able to do. And close by over here, right on the side of Israel, Palestine, is actually the lowest ecological footprint right now. You can obviously see where the red areas are. So the United States is pretty high. Australia is pretty high. Another way to look at ecological footprint is what we call earth share. Another definition we should probably know. This is the amount of land. Land is usually in hectares, not acres. If we all shared productive land equally, which of course we don't. So currently, if we all shared it equally, everybody on the planet would get 1.8 hectares of land. So that's if there was no difference between any countries, how much land you would get for productivity. Of course, it's not equal. So the United States actually is using 10.3. So if you look way back here, remember I said 1.8 is what we should have, and we're using 10.3. That's almost about 6 times what the average should be for the world. And you can see who the countries are, Europe, North America, and so forth, are using way more. Now, it's really interesting if you look over here. The 2 most populous countries on the planet right now are China and India. Both of them have economies that are really taking off. I can't tell you at the top of my head what their economic growth rates are, but they're quite higher than the United States right now. Yet, their fair earth share is pretty low. So there's some distribution, some disparity going on in those countries right now. And that concludes our discussion, and this concludes the course for ESS for this year.